Alright, fuck it. Man of Steel. Here we go. So with Zack Snyder's Justice League almost upon us, I thought, what better time to go back, rewatch Man of Steel, and also check out the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, which I've never seen. I'm not sure if I'll do a video on that one. But I did rewatch Man of Steel last night, and suffice it to say I have some thoughts. So Man of Steel is directed by Zack Snyder. It's the first installment of the DC Extended Universe. We didn't know it was that at the time. At the time, it was just a new Superman movie, which I'll admit was much needed. Before that was Superman Returns, and I didn't see that one as a kid. I saw that for the first time, actually right before Man of Steel came out. And at 13 years old, I wasn't really into Superman Returns. I watched it again like last year and still wasn't really into it. Maybe I'll talk about that another day. But before that was Superman 4, which is regarded as one of the worst comic book movies of all time. So I think the masses were ready for a new Superman story. So Man of Steel came out in 2013, stars Henry Cavill as Superman, general unknown at the time. He had auditioned for the role in Superman Returns, lost to Brandon Routh, so this was his second chance, and he got cast. But let me just get this out of the way before I get into Henry Cavill's performance. This is probably one of the most divisive comic book movies that have ever come out. When this movie came out in June of 2013, the masses were split right down the middle. Some people loved this movie. Some people hated it. I, myself, quite surprisingly, thought it was pretty cool. I remember leaving the theater like, yeah, that was badass. That was my Superman, the Superman that I needed to see. Like, oh, all the other ones were cheesy and one was really boring, but this one is awesome. And that was it. I thought it was pretty cool. Like, I liked the action scenes. I liked Zod as a villain. I liked Cavill as Superman. I thought the action was badass, you know, great music as well. But the thought occurred to me last night when I was rewatching it that I don't think I have seen Man of Steel in its entirety since I watched it in the theater at 13 years old. And that's kind of weird to me. It's like, I enjoyed this movie so much, and yet I was never really drawn to watching it again. What's up with that? The same thing happened with X-Men Apocalypse. I liked that movie a lot when I first saw it. I don't think I've seen it in its entirety since. But I don't know. As I grew older, I was like, you know, it is what it is. Like, I think back to Man of Steel, and I'm like, oh yeah, Man of Steel, like, pretty good time, you know? Like, it was cool, and Superman wrecked shit and flew into buildings and whatnot. But again, with the Snyder Cut coming out real soon, I thought this is the perfect time to rewatch Man of Steel. With all that hype and all that positivity and negativity out of the way, these are just my unbiased thoughts on Man of Steel, 7 years after the matter, in an adult body. What do I think of Man of Steel? I wasn't a fan. Now, that's not to say this is a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie in the slightest. I think it is probably better than Superman Returns, to be completely honest. Superman Returns, at least there was some action in Man of Steel, you know. Superman Returns, he saves like one plane. He saves like a meteor at the end. I don't know, it's been a while. I only just watched it last year and I already have trouble remembering the plot details of Superman Returns. But that being said, I didn't feel that same level of excitement that I felt when I left the theater back in 2013 after watching this movie. I didn't feel the badassery this time around. The action sequences really didn't faze me at all. That's not to say they weren't cool. They were pretty fucking cool. But here's the problem with Man of Steel. It's kind of dull, in my opinion. And I mean that in the sense of the characters, including Superman, they have no personality to me. It feels like they have no personality. Now, feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to tell me in the comments why this movie is badass. I was kind of upset when I was done watching it. I was like, why didn't I enjoy that? Like, I enjoyed it as a kid, so why wouldn't I enjoy it now? But I really do feel like this movie could have used a bit more personality. Like, I have no problem with a darker, more grounded take on Superman. Superman, however, has always been this beacon of hope. He's always been this charming, very likable person. Something like this would obviously be more fit to someone like Batman, but a more grounded, grittier Superman story, that could work. It could. And it almost did, if Superman was just a bit more interesting. And also, this movie does this weird thing where it's like bouncing back and forth between timelines. Christopher Nolan did that a lot with things like Memento. He even did it in Batman Begins. But I didn't feel like that was the appropriate choice for a movie like this. It's like bouncing back and forth between, he's a kid. What the hell happens again? I just watched this last night, why can't I remember? Oh yeah, that's right. He was a kid in the classroom and like his senses are going fucking crazy. Which, that's nice, that's cool, that works. And then we're back to him as like an adult. I think what does he do? He's like, is that after he drowns? Or he doesn't drown, but like, is that after he was like in the water and he's like, he saves the dudes and... Okay, either way, it cuts back to him then again, like on the bus, and he saves the kids. It just felt a little redundant. Like, there's a lot of like repeat beats throughout this movie. Him as a kid, and he's like, just embrace the world, Clark, like, you're gonna be okay. And then like, but don't show yourself, blend in, be a human. Because once they find out who you are, like, everything's gonna change, and like, you have to hold on to this secret as long as you can. And then it's him as a kid in another scene. He's getting bullied, and like, the bully's like, fight me, kid, come on, hit me, like the Joker. And then Clark doesn't do it, and then the dad, and Jonathan Kent is like, hey, don't reveal that secret, I know you wanted to hit him, but like, don't do it. It's like, we get it, like, you don't need to, this movie's 2 hours and like 20 something minutes, you could have definitely like, capped it at like 2 hours maximum. I remember it was right after like the second action sequence where like they're on the ship, Superman's on the ship with Lois, and Zod is beginning to like use the world engines to fucking turn Earth into Krypton. I was just thinking like, damn, is this almost over? And I looked at I was on HBO Max, so I looked at like the time left, and there was still 40 fucking minutes left, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I feel like we're just about done here, and it's still going. So yeah, that was another one of my big issues with Man of Steel, was just the pacing. It felt like such a drag in some moments. Like, especially the beginning, like, I get why you want to show Krypton. Like, of course, you need to show Krypton, like, where Superman comes from and whose parents are, and what happens to Krypton, and also you want to set up Zod, the villain. But even that got to the point where I'm like, how long have we, like, and I checked the timer again, and it was 17 minutes. It's like 17 minutes in this 2 hour, 20-minute movie. We're still on Krypton. We haven't really been introduced to our protagonist yet. Like, fuck, I really wanted to like this movie. I don't know why. I feel bad that I didn't. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who will defend this movie to the day they die, saying, this is a great movie, everything's wrong, like, you're wrong, you shouldn't not like it, it has depth, it has meaning. I just didn't feel it this time around. All the story issues, the character issues, the pacing, it bogged it down for me. Now, that's not to say there were things about this movie that I didn't like. I have to say, I think the scene that got me the most, the scene that I enjoyed the most, was right after he gets his suit for the first time. He leaves was it the Fortress of Solitude? Did they call it that in the movie? Or like, was it just the ship? I think it was just the ship. It wasn't even like the fortress. Okay, this movie's version of the Fortress of Solitude. And he flies for the first time. That Hans Zimmer score. Oh, no, that's another thing I love, the Hans Zimmer score. Hans Zimmer can never do wrong. Well, most of the time. And he's like jumping and he's leaping and that score is beaming and he's actually showing a bit of personality. He's like laughing and like, that was a great scene. I really enjoyed that scene. I wouldn't change that scene if I was the one directing this movie. What do I think about Zod? He's okay. I mean, he's perfectly down the middle, just fine for me. He's not terrible, but I don't think he's great by any means. Michael Shannon's a great actor. But there are some moments in this movie where he is just like, really hamming it up. It felt so cartoony. I know he's better than that. I get the mindset of Zod. I like Zod in the sense of like, he's just a guy who wants to save his race. He's not just, oh, I want to destroy the Earth just to destroy the Earth like some fucking villains are. He's a man with a plan, and like, he has motivation, and I get his motivation, but he's just so one-noted. This very cartoony Michael Shannon, he gets his eyes all big, and he's like screaming like, I will find him! It's like, come on, man, like, you can tone it back a little bit. Like, you're still trying to tell a realistic story here. And also, real quick, why the fuck do the pods that the Kryptonian criminals go to the Phantom Zone in? Why do they look like that? Like, why? You mean to tell me that the people who worked in this movie, Zack Snyder, all these visual artists, just none of them thought what they looked like? Come on. Also, real quick, I want to talk about some of the more controversial aspects of this movie, the things that people hated when it first came out, but didn't necessarily bother me all that much. I guess we'll start with the fact that Superman fucking wrecks the city fighting Zod. Yeah, I guess that's not really, that's not cool, for someone who wants to help people and someone who is so adamant against fucking being the savior of the planet. He sure does indirectly murder a ton of people. I mean, granted, when he finally does fight Zod, the city is already wrecked as it is, so like, you could definitely argue that Zod is the one who was ultimately responsible for all the damage, and like, Zod started the whole thing, and like, at the end of the day, the thousands of deaths are really on him. But that's not to say that a few hundred more weren't caused by Kal-El himself throwing Zod into buildings and flying through buildings and not really giving a shit. I want to say this real quick, though, about Batman vs. Superman. There's a whole plot line in that movie of, like, the people who maybe lost loved ones in this fight between Superman and Zod. I feel like that would not have been a plot line in Batman vs. Superman if people didn't react so negatively to Superman fucking wrecking the city in Man of Steel. I feel like that was something that was done in response to the backlash to Man of Steel. Like, I feel like had people not reacted that way and Superman still wrecked the city, that wouldn't even have been a plotline in Batman vs. Superman, where people hate Superman. So, like, yeah, I get the hate on that one, but, like, it didn't bother me all that much. Like, I get it, but at the same time, Zod started it. I hate to pull this fifth grade argument, but it was Zod, come on. And now comes the thing that people really, really fucking hated when this movie came out. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, by the way. Like, if you're this long into the video, you should know that by now. Superman murders Zod. He just straight up snaps his neck and kills him at the end of this movie because Zod is using his heat vision on family. He's like, I'm gonna kill them. Like, what would you do to save these people? And Superman's got him in a chokehold. He's like, no, don't do it. And Zod doesn't give, so Superman just fucking breaks his neck. Now, I'll tell you what I do have a problem with about this scene is the fact that that family could have clearly, like, ran away before Zod's lasers got to them. Like, there was clearly an opening. That's what bothers me the most about this scene. But the idea of Superman killing Zod really doesn't bother me all that much. And in fact, I'm kind of okay with it completely. Because put it this way, Superman has never directly taken a life. Yeah, he smashed in all those buildings and murdered hundreds of people, but, like, he has never directly in front of him had to kill somebody with his own hands. So him killing Zod is the first time that happens. And if you remember the movie, right after that happens, he lets out this scream and he's like, like, what have I done? Like, I mean, I had to do it, but I fucking hate that I had to do it. There could have been another way. So I think that's the moment where he's like, man, killing fucking sucks. Like, I don't want to do that again. And then in the other movies, he doesn't do it again. Like, that's his learning point, you know? So yeah, that doesn't really bother me in the slightest that Superman had to kill Zod. Bothered me more in Batman vs. Superman when Batman was just mowing dudes down left and right, but that's a story for another video. I think all the actors in this movie are doing a good job with what they've been given. I like Amy Adams as Lois. I know Henry Cavill is doing his best. I wish they would have just given Superman a little bit more to work with, just a little bit more personality, because Superman really is supposed to be a beacon of hope, a very fun character. I get that this is a darker take, but you can still have him be human. I know he's not human, but have him be a human with feelings. And yes, that's not to say there are moments where he doesn't, but, like, the fact that he doesn't even speak a line until Henry Cavill as Clark or Kal-El doesn't actually even speak a line in this movie until... I kept an eye out for this. He says his first line when he's on the Kryptonian ship right about to see Jor-El. And I'm not saying you have to have dialogue all the time. I like that scene where he's in the classroom as a kid and his senses are going crazy and he doesn't really say much. I think that's fine. But to have your protagonist be, like, so reserved to the point of, like, people trying to figure him out but they can't, means that you should probably give him a little bit more to do, at least at the beginning. We don't even really see him do much until 20-30 minutes in. Also, one last quick note. A lot of people really hate how dark this movie is and say there's no humor. There's a little bit of humor. I feel like that's very overlooked. Overall, it is a very gritty, serious story, but there are still moments of humor that I feel like a lot of people don't realize. But yeah, overall, I'm sure there are some things that I forgot to mention. These were just my sort of stream of consciousness thoughts on Man of Steel while it was still fresh on my mind, so I figured I'd talk about that with all of you. I haven't really done any, like, individual movie reviews yet, so I guess this is technically my first one. So I hope you all enjoyed it. If there's anything I forgot to talk about, if you like this movie and you want to defend it, if you have anything else to add to the Man of Steel discussion, nearly 8 years after the matter, leave a comment. If there's something I forgot to talk about, I can reply and, like, butt in and give my opinions on that. But for the most part, those are my overall summarized thoughts on Man of Steel. Yeah, either way, I'm looking forward to Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know if I'll talk about Batman or Superman. We'll see. It's whatever I feel like. So yeah, if you'd like to see more movie reviews like this, let me know. Let me know what you'd like to see me talk about. I'll probably do a video on WandaVision when it's over. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for today. Stay frosty and subscribe for more videos.